Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. I, 50 female, told my daughter, 24 female, that I won't attend her wedding if her biological father is there. But now she says that I'm being stuck in the past. Original post. I would appreciate some advice on the current situation I find myself in, and I am hoping an outsider's viewpoint can offer me some clarity. For some context, about 24 years ago, I was violated by a close friend of mine and got pregnant by the encounter. I was inconsolable for months after the event. To make matters worse, I found out I was pregnant at about 20 weeks, and where I lived at the time, it was illegal to terminate after the first trimester. My husband had really been my rock and my support during that time, and I do not know how I would have ended up if not for him. He said that I could put it up for adoption, or I could keep the child and he would raise it like our other children. I decided to not give it up for adoption, but raising the kid was hard. I am half Polish and half German, and he is half German and half Russian. We both have pale skin, light hair, and blue eyes, as well as being fairly tall. I'm about 178 centimeters or around 5 feet 10, and he is 191 centimeters or about 6 feet 3. However, our daughter Luna is about 160 centimeters or 5 feet 3, has dark hair and a brown complexion like her biological father. I often heard snide remarks about me being an unfaithful wife because it was obvious that she was not my husband's child. It was especially hard for me when Luna was young because she looked so much like her dad. My husband took care of my daughter most of the time, since I had bad flashbacks whenever I saw her face from when I was violated. As she grew up, it died down a bit, but I would still get these horrible panic attacks when I saw her wearing boys' clothes and short hair. Since I was prone to having panic attacks, Luna ended up being closer to my husband than she was to me. Also, she often ended up getting a little more than her siblings from my husband, as some sort of compensation because of me. We never told her that she was the product of a crime, because I was too ashamed, and my husband did not want her feeling different from her siblings. I often told her that me and her biological father got into an altercation, and never spoke to one another ever again. About 2 years ago, she got one of those DNA test items, and found out she had a relative in the system. Said relative got Luna in touch with her bio dad, and they started talking despite my protests. He apparently wanted to speak to me about something he wanted to tell me, so Luna attempted to persuade me to speak with him. I made her aware that me and her father shouldn't ever be in the same room together. Now, Luna is getting married to a lovely young man. Some of the COVID restrictions have been lifted, so she is able to have a decent-sized wedding. The original plan was to have my husband walk her down the aisle, but he had gotten into a bad accident leaving him in a wheelchair, until his legs are strong enough to support his weight again. However, this is not her idea of a picture-perfect wedding day, so she invited her biological father to have the honor of being the bride's father. Her wedding invitation not only invited my offender, but she totally disrespected the man who raised her. Although I or a bridesmaid could have pushed him down the aisle, she thinks it would not fit the vibe of the wedding. My husband looked so shocked and upset that she would even think of this, but I was furious. I have a visceral hate for that man, and I let her know that I would not be anywhere near him. She told me that this is what she wants, and there's no changing her mind, so I told her I will not be attending if he's there. She got upset and told me that I shouldn't hang on to the past, but I laid it into her that she doesn't know what happened between me and her biological father, so she shouldn't stick her nose where it doesn't belong. Though I feel terrible about what I said and how I said it, and I can't be blamed for her being born or not knowing what happened since I never told her, I still feel as though my wishes should be respected if I say I don't want to be in the same room as someone. I'm now okay with her contacting her father, I just do not want anything to do with him. Also, it's rude to replace your father with another man who you've barely known for 2 years because of something he couldn't control. Can anyone offer me a perspective that I am not catching? Has anyone ever dealt with this? And if so, how? Now for the top advice before reading the update. You need to tell her how she was conceived. You did her a disservice by concealing that from her and allowing her to have a relationship with an offender. Now that criminal has obviously fed her a narrative that paints him in a convenient light. Who knows what else that man could do? Tell her, immediately. She should know that the picture-perfect wedding she wants will forever be marred by having a criminal there. If after telling her she sticks to her guns, let her know you won't have a relationship with someone who so easily sides with someone like that. I was conceived from my father forcing my mother. I would never expect my mother to see my father at all. You need to tell her. It's her business as well as yours. Also, I didn't discover the truth of my conception until I was roughly your daughter's age. It took some processing, but I've moved on. It's part of my story as it's part of your daughter's. She's a grown 24-year-old. There is no reason for her to not know her bio dad did that to you. This, you've got to tell her. I don't know if it will mend anything, since she's being a prick to the father who raised her for the sake of a wedding. But still, she needs to know, because right now, you're just a woman who didn't get over a fight that happened 24 years ago. Plus, she'll end up knowing about it at some point, and it's going to be way worse than just telling her yourself. I think you need to tell her what happened. Right now, Bio Dad could be telling her lies and is controlling the narrative around her conception. If she knows what happened, she could make a more informed decision about continuing a relationship, but also then understand why you won't attend the wedding if he's in attendance. I would be very worried right now that the bio father has already spun a false and manipulative narrative about what happened. I would brace myself for the daughter reacting negatively, and even accusing the mother of lying to break up the relationship with the bio father just to be petty, etc. Now for the first update. Before I get started on the update, I have a few things I want to address. A lot of people have questioned me on why I did not tell my daughter that she was a product of a crime. The only answer is that I was ashamed of myself. For some context, before I got married to my husband, I actually was very close friends with my attacker. We grew up together in a small community and our families were close. Our parents even wanted us to get together. He was always interested in me, but I didn't give him a chance until university. I broke it off with him and started dating my husband, but I never cut him off because we were very close. He invited me over to drink. This was normal for us, and when I started getting a bit tipsy, he forced himself on me. I was very traumatized by the situation and tried to get him jailed, but I couldn't. He had a very good reputation, so everyone believed him, even my own mother. When he said, I willingly came over and did it with him. I eventually stopped pursuing because of the social pressure, which only got worse when I found out I was pregnant. I eventually left that place with my husband and kids to live somewhere else. After I gave birth, my husband suggested therapy, but I was scared of being judged again, so I decided to bury it and try to forget about it. I just realized now that it was the worst way to go about this, but it's the only way I knew how to honestly. On to the update. After reading all the advice I'd gotten, I decided that I should stop running away and tell her everything. I called her to come over and she did. I first apologized for yelling at her for her suggestion, because in her mind, it was an innocent suggestion. I told her that I wasn't angry at her, but how fast she was willing to replace her father because he was in a wheelchair, and that anger was compounded because she brought up her genetic father. I apologized again for acting childish and not like an adult. She asked me why I am so against her genetic father being in the same vicinity as I am, and I just told her everything from our initial friendship to her forced conception. She didn't believe me, like some of you guys predicted. But I can get a copy of the records of the court case and offered them to her if she needed a look. She looked stunned, like she wanted to believe me but couldn't. I apologized for keeping all this from her because I didn't know how to bring it up. She told me she didn't believe me and would confirm with her genetic father, so I told her to take the time she needed to process all this. Later that day, she came again, crying and apologizing for not believing me. I held her and cried and apologized too. It was kind of therapeutic. We had a long chat and I did feel closer to her. When we were done, she said she wanted to take me out to a surprise to help me feel better in a couple of days, which I happily agreed to. I went to see her yesterday in this little restaurant, with a patio that had a private pay-for-use area for a maximum of 4 people due to COVID. As she ran up to me and gave me a hug, she led me to the patio, where her biological father stood. She told me he was here to apologize and start my healing journey. I just wanted to leave, but he grabbed my hand, and all those memories I tried to repress just came back out. I started having a panic attack and lost balance, to which he tried to help me keep my balance, which worsened everything. I honestly don't remember how I left, but I ended up in my car just sobbing. I called my elder son to pick me up because I was not fit to drive at that moment. Today, my daughter called me upset that I ruined her surprise, but I was extremely upset with her. I asked her why she did that, when she knows everything that happened between me and him. And she tried to use the excuse of my healing journey, but I wasn't having it. She admitted that she wanted me to get used to him because he's going to be walking her down the aisle along with my husband and doing the daddy-daughter dance. I told her that while I loved her and respect her decision to be with him, I am not willing to be anywhere he is. She started complaining about how she wants all her family to be there and I'm still not forgiving, but I hung up the phone. My husband is aware of everything and stands by me of not going to her wedding, but I don't want this. If my other children were to know, they would stand by me and tell the rest of their extended family, which is going to lead to my daughter getting disowned by the family. There is no need to give me advice on this because I will be seeking professional aid. Anyways, one good thing to come out of this is that I'm finally confident enough to seek therapy. Thank you for listening to my venting and for commenting on my last post. Happy holidays. I hope you enjoy it with those who you love. Now for more advice before reading the update. What the fuck? Honestly, same. Daughter checked all requisites of villainy. Never met the daughter, but her entire existence infuriates me right now. It baffles me that, in some twisted way, she excused, condoned, accepted, doesn't care, that the assault happened. Can't even find the right word. But it was selfish of her to ambush you with that horrible person. Sending virtual boosters and support to OP after being hit with a hurricane of an event. This is a lot for you to deal with. Virtual hugs from an internet stranger. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of this. Please don't apologize, it isn't your fault. I'm looking into professional assistance at least. My heart goes out to you. Question if I may, is your husband going to the wedding? No, my husband is very angry with her at the moment. Despite his injury, he's been constantly checking on me to see if I'm alright. I honestly love that man, and I seriously doubt that I would be alive if it weren't for him. I'm sorry, but your daughter is freaking evil. I would 100% make it known exactly why I wasn't at her wedding, and how she duped you into facing your offender again against your will. If she maintains contact with him, as much as it hurts, I would just write her off. Go as low contact as you can. Especially as in the last post. The stepdad was a good dad by all accounts, so there's no reason for her to both abandon him and go all in on bio dad. I am conflicted on this. Yes, what she did hurt me, but if I had told her the truth before she got into contact with her biological father, I doubt any of this would happen. I sort of brought it on myself because I just ignored my problems rather than confronting them. I still want to attend her wedding because I love her dearly, but I don't know if that's possible at this point. Now for the final update. Hello everyone, it has been a while since I last posted on this website. I have a few new updates for everyone that has been asking me. I apologize for not getting to everyone in my direct messages, but I really appreciate everyone sending me support through those tough times. I would like to share some good news before going on about what happened with my daughter. My husband is able to walk again, albeit with a cane, but it is progress. We have been going to physical therapy to help strengthen his legs after his accident. It's good to see him happy and walking again. I've also been to therapy and met this wonderful and sweet therapist. My therapist is so patient and kind. Since my husband and I started together a few weeks ago, she has been extremely helpful. Bless her soul and all those who recommended therapy. I would have missed out on such an experience, so my thanks go out to all of you. Like most of you advised, my therapist also advised me to tell my other children about what went on between my youngest. For reference, I have 3 other children, 30 male, 27 female, and 27 male. My eldest boy is the only one that had a slight idea of what happened, but the other 2 were left unaware. I was quite scared and anxious to tell them what happened, especially because my mother and other family members initially reacted negatively. I invited them over around 2 weeks ago for a family dinner and told them everything that happened, from the conception of my youngest to what happened recently. They were all silent and stared at me, so I became a little nervous. Until my daughter started crying. It was so upsetting for her, and my 2 sons were angry at my youngest and her father. They asked why I didn't tell them earlier, and I told them I was just scared of how they could have reacted. My husband took them out of the dining room to talk, while my eldest daughter just cried together. When my boys and husband came back, they apologized for leaving early and left. My eldest daughter wanted to spend the night with me, but early in the morning, she left with her brothers to do whatever. I didn't hear anything from them until last Wednesday. I was on Facebook when I saw my elder daughter's post calling out my younger daughter for not only ignoring the man who raised her, but siding with her mother's attacker and re-traumatizing her. My boys made similar posts as well, dragging her name through the mud. I had so many direct messages, but I didn't want anything to do with them, so I deleted the app off my phone. Since I don't like people knowing about my personal life, I asked my kids to take down the post. They said they did, but I haven't re-downloaded the app to find out. My daughter's fiance came to my house with his mother to apologize. He told me he broke off the engagement because he couldn't be with someone who treated their parents like that. His mother let me know how disgusted she was with my daughter's actions, and that someone like that would never be a part of her family. I was honestly stunned by all the support I have received. It's one thing to receive support online, but receiving support in real life was surreal for me. I am a bit disappointed because I wanted my daughter's former fiancé to join the family, as he is a lovely and sweet boy, but he has boundaries in a relationship that my daughter unfortunately crossed. As for my youngest, she is furious with me. She sent me a nasty voicemail saying that I ruined her life. Her friends and fiancé basically cut her off. Needless to say, I felt terribly sorry because I had attempted to avoid this situation at all costs. I went through what she is experiencing, and I know exactly what it feels like. I told my therapist about this, and she told me that the difference is that, while I was the victim, my daughter brought it on herself. My therapist is probably right, but I can't stop this feeling of dread. I tried to call my daughter, but once I heard her father on the line, I hung up. He took it upon himself to let me know that my daughter is depressed because of my actions. I feel terrible for treating my daughter like this. My husband says that I should focus on myself, and I'm trying to, but I just can't stop worrying. I don't think that my daughter is safe when she's with her biological father. This is all that's going on in my life right now for all those asking. Thanks for listening to me and thanks for the advice again. I really appreciate everything. Well, this ended the only way it could. Halfway through part 3, when the sons apologized and left early, I thought the next step would be a murder. Glad it only ended with a permanent estrangement. What the hell is wrong with that child? The final straw was when she didn't ask the parent who raised her to walk with her because he was in a wheelchair long before the truly repugnant garbage. I hope she gets a freaking clue about how to treat people. She had to confirm the crime committed on her mom by her genetic father. How messed up is that? I cannot even fathom some of these recent Reddit posts where people are putting their biological, genetic crappy parents above their adoptive ones. My first thought too, what the heck did she think an actual offender was going to say about the crime? You need to work on reframing your language around this. Your daughter's life wasn't ruined due to your actions. She isn't depressed due to your actions. Your daughter feels all of this due to her actions, callous nature, and decision-making. Hers alone. Work on reminding yourself this over and over. She made her choice. No one with a moral compass would have been okay with this choice. She just thought she could make this okay. Frankly, if it were me, I would also never speak to her again if I were your daughter's friend. My guess is everyone had the same reaction. Remind yourself, the fallout is due to daughter's actions. That's what I've been told, but this wouldn't have happened if I just let her know earlier. I could have prevented all this if I was firmer and didn't let myself get pressured into keeping her when she could have had the chance at a better life with an adoptive family. I just have a lot of regrets in regard to this entire situation because it wasn't her fault. In hindsight, I just feel like I could have done more for her and gotten into therapy sooner.